Hello, everyone. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is. Yeah, we're doing it. Sorry. Okay, so this is the last video. By the way, let me just put a disclaimer before I start. This is the last video that I'm doing before I go to France because I'm gonna leave to France in 2 weeks. So this week and then next week. On Friday I'll be gone, so this is kind of my farewell until I come back because I'm gonna be there for a month. And then I will definitely make life video about France and just kind of all that went down and just kind of chat with y'all because I won't see you in a month. And then we'll see if I'd make some other videos too. So I'll keep you posted on that, and then I'm gonna go to school in 2 weeks, so I'm gonna have a 2-week period. So I'll see how much I can do in 2 weeks before I have to leave, YouTube wise, but I'll definitely stay tuned. But for sure, you're gonna hear about France. That's a guarantee. And then probably a send off too, whenever I get to my senior year, because I'm gonna be a senior. Oh my gosh, it's been that long. Okay, so yeah. Oh man, how do I even start off this video? Yeah, I'm so sad. I won't see y'all, but I promise I'll be okay. I'll be okay. But yeah, so this is a movie commentary video. Obviously, if you clicked on it, you would granted, and if you don't see my face, if you just hear my voice, and you clearly know it's some sort of commentary video or some sort of chatty video. So hello. Yeah, so this is a movie commentary. And the movie that I'm going to be talking about is called Tomorrowland. So, I don't know if some of y'all watched this movie. I feel like I've watched this movie before, at least in the movie theaters, but I watched it again anyway, or I watched it for the first time. I don't know. I feel like I watched it, but I don't know. Anyway, I watched it, or watch it again. However my brain will let me feel about it. But yeah, I watched it through Disney Plus because it's on Disney. It's PG, so it's not super graphic, but it's still sci-fi fantasy, and it has a lot of good lessons and morals to it. And personally, I feel like kind of what we're going through right now as a society, and just everything that we're seeing on the news, on television, just kind of how depressing everything is and has been lately. All the commercials you've seen, this movie kind of covers that. Obviously, it does kind of cover, because it's Disney and it's because it's a little more it's for PG, it's more for children. So obviously, it's a little bit more sugar-coaty, or it's not as jarring in its elements of talking about social issues, but still that's kind of the main thematic theme, or maybe not even thematic, but it was definitely the main kind of lead on into the movie. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're talking about, some real issues, some issues that I feel like we all can understand or relate, or even living through right now. So yeah, it's funny, it's a Disney movie, but it has to be talked about, right? It's there. So yeah, so that's kind of how the movie starts off with, is that which is kind of interesting, thematically, obviously, but also character-wise, and also Cameron England. And if you've watched a lot of my movie commentaries, you know how much I love film, how much I love just kind of camera work in general. I mean, I'm not a film major or minor by any means, but I do love movie making, and I think I've said this before, but I also want to do film orchestra, so I definitely know kind of what I'm talking about, hopefully. Which, with the music as well, I really liked how it kind of blanketed the movie as well, because again, with making a movie excellent, you also have to have great music, specifically music that can basically tell the story as well, or kind of contribute to the story. And again, with the music, and because this movie is just so good, it is a very good movie. It kind of was able to like blanket that, which I thought was really interesting. This is a little more music theory wise, but there's a lot of like dissonances, and you can tell like it's very cinematic, and it's just there's so many elements that was able to really showcase what this movie's about. And also, I wanted to make this movie because also, this is a little farther down in the movie, but the way that they go to this next dimension was through the Eiffel Tower, which was in Paris, France, which I'm good at France, so that's like perfect. I thought that was kind of neat. And also about that, if you guys know anything about like France culture or French history, or even like history in general, the people that made the Eiffel Tower, or that kind of were the ones that gave the idea. I don't know if this is accurate, obviously. This is a movie, but at least what the movie is saying is that Tesla and Thomas Edison were involved in it. So, which is kind of perfect with kind of what this movie, and especially the main two characters, is both of the main two characters are scientists. And then the third character is an AI robot. So, or they don't consider themselves robots, but they're technically robots, or AIs at least. So it's like a very kind of cool way to kind of continue the story and to kind of contribute. And that's another thing too that I'll mention with this movie that I really, really liked is they had a theme, which is science essentially, and then they also talked about the theory, and this is kind of what this movie talks about too, and that's also with the social. So the main is just like, oh, there's like these social issues, and that's kind of how it starts. Is like it's kind of just talking about like essentially how essentially like there's all this bad that's going on, and they kind of break the fourth wall, especially in the first part of in the beginning of the movie, which is also what I really really like, especially movies, is like when they break the fourth wall. It's so fun, it's so interesting. But how they're breaking the fourth wall, and kind of what they are doing throughout this whole movie is just saying like, oh, like everything is effed, like, you know, this whole world is doomed, and etc. And then we kind of later learn. Okay, I'm so sorry. I had to switch friends. Okay. Okay, so yeah, like what I was saying before, like thematically, again, like it's talking about social issues, and then kind of throughout the movie, we learn that it's not necessarily the social issues that in the world that's causing it. It's more the people that are behind the issues, the people who are the politicians, the people who are the ones who are in power that are basically causing it. And the reason why they're causing it is because they don't trust in their own population to fix the messes that happened. And so, because they feel like, because people are so kind of almost like animals, essentially, like basically they think of their population so low that they're gonna F it up. And so if they tell them what's happening, if they tell them what's happening, then they will submit to fear, which is basically the whole movie and kind of the whole premise of the movie. Or not the whole premise, but it's kind of the whole issue of the movie, I guess, the whole kind of conflict. Funny that this is a Disney movie. It's pretty messed up if you really think about it. And yeah, and again, like and that's why this is such a good movie, is because it has one theme, it has one conflict, and it just shows in different varieties of that conflict. And oh, it's just so good. It's so good. And that's what I mean too, is like in one of the classroom scenes with the main actress, because her character is so positive, so bright, and even though like in the movie she did go to jail, and like she did technically do bad things, at least what the law considers bad things, but really she wasn't doing anything bad. She was just trying to fix what the system basically wasn't willing or was too lazy to fix. And that was actually one of the questions that she asked in the classroom, which is considered bold, especially in this society, is the teacher was saying all these bad things, and she basically raised her hand and was bold enough to ask, how can we fix it? Like, and that is such a powerful statement, because it's so true. It's like, okay, these things are happening, okay, these things are bad, but then why can't we fix it? You know? And yes, I mean, there are answers to that, of course, but it's like, why are we talking about it if we can't solve it? You know? And so that's kind of this whole like theory that the movie is trying to like talk about, is that humans, because we are such, I hate saying this, but like, because we are such an undeveloped species, and because we are such a war mentality species, a conflict proven species, we almost self-destruct when we have to take responsibility. And so it kind of shows, and even they were showing projections, like whenever they were going up, whenever they went into the other dimension, and then when they were going up, they were showing and predicting almost what they're gonna do. Basically saying like how predictable humankind is. But then in the end, the AI, she finally learned, and because she's a robot, basically, she was programmed by another person. So, by a person, basically. So, and because of that, she doesn't have her own free will. But then, because, you know, not everything is perfect, she had a flaw, and that was to save, which, because it's PG, they didn't really talk about it that much, but like, basically her lover, which is kind of weird because she is seen as like a young girl and the main guy is so old. So it's like the age gap is age gapping, but basically you kind of get the theme, and that is basically the whole theme. The whole message of the movie is like, okay, yes, these things are happening, but how do we resolve it? You know, like, how do we almost break out of this toxic victim mentality that we have set for ourselves? It's the only reason why all of this is happening is because we've essentially created for ourselves. So it's like, oh, it's so interesting. It's so, so cool. And I love that we're talking about it, because it's, honestly, it's just so real. It's so true. But yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm back. I just had to do something. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Sorry, there's gonna be a lot of cuts. I'm sorry. This is a long video. Probably, most likely, because, like, oh, girl, I have so much to say about this movie. It's so good. And also, like, I've noticed this movie, too. I don't think at least the commentary creators that I watched, like, I don't think anyone's really reacted to this movie. So that's also why I just really wanted to talk about it, because, again, and so it's such a good movie, and also it's very much my like realm, sci-fi, fantasy, and also kind of my branding. And yeah, and it's just an excellent movie in general. I mean, the story, it's a great story, but also just like as a movie in general, it's just, oh my gosh, it's perfect. It's excellent, honestly. But yeah, So now, kind of talking more about the characters, and they again embody kind of the theme, and that's another thing like I've noticed with some movies, especially like more like Netflix movies, just the movies that are a little becoming more popular. They always have to do so much when in general to make a good movie, just pick one theme and stick with it. Honestly, it's that simple, and I get it. It's hard to make a movie, but I feel like if you can just make a movie simple but still impactful and powerful, people will love it, honestly, and relatable. And this movie again is very relatable. So again, that being said, the characters, again, are both scientists, which I really like that none of the people in this movie are dumb. That's another thing I've noticed is like a lot of movies, they make their characters so dumb. And I mean, some movies now, not necessarily, but there are movies I've watched where I'm just like, oh my god, why? So I love that all the characters, and also another thing, again, like these characters aren't necessarily flawed, or they're not necessarily evil, but they're just more flawed, I guess, if that makes sense. But that's why it's just so enjoyable to watch. And also just like how all the personalities kind of clash together too. Anyway, but yeah, and so again, with the main like actor, his whole thing is that he and kind of it already shows in the beginning of the movie and kind of even the intro, like how they're foreshadowing and how they're interacting with each other. But the main actor, he he's older, and that kind of shows too, is he's older, he's a little bit more wiser, and so because of that he's just had more experience. And kind of what this movie's talking about is basically they're wanting, because of the social injustices and because everything that's happening, they wanted to make, basically they wanted to go to a different dimension and make a new world where the artists, the thinkers, the scientists, like everyone that is proactive and diligent in what they do and that are excellent in their craftsmanship come together and make a better world, basically. And so that's kind of how these two characters meet, is because the first character, he he's a smart kid and he goes to the science fair and he really wants to like make this rocket ship and like really want to like show it off to everyone. And kind of what we learn through that, and kind of what he's learned through that, is that there's some things that you're going to dream about that are just going to be dreams. And that's true. This is also true. Like, there are things that are just going to be dreams, like, they're not possible. And so, because of that, because this world kind of almost turned into destruction, because like no one had faith in it, like it just kind of was fatal, etc. and etc. Basically, he made a ticking time bomb, a ticking death time bomb, to basically know when the end of the world will be, because of how he couldn't fix it and of how just depressed he was in himself. And so he put that, so basically he justified that and put it out into the world. And so that is a thing that I've noticed too. So just kind of stepping away for a second, that's the thing I've noticed with the society, and like with some of my friends even, and with just some my people and other people, is that because of how, and myself too, like because you weren't able to fix something, and again this is kind of the theme of this movie, is because you weren't able to fix something because it was too hard, or because you just felt like you couldn't practically do something, that means that it is worth for nothing, you know. While the second character, and because it's not worth for nothing, you justify that it's worth nothing. Okay, let me bold that. compared to the main actress, who she is full of light, she's bright, she's also very intelligent, and it's not necessarily that her positivity makes her dumb. It's almost that her positivity makes her diligent enough to fix what is around us. And that is such a character type, by the way. And that's why I love this movie, is because even the pop. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Yeah, and that's what I was saying before, is like, this. God, this movie is so good. I'm just gonna keep saying that because it is so good. For the fact is, like, I don't know if you've watched as many movies as me. Probably not. I do. I am a movie connoisseur, but a lot of the movies and shows, and maybe it's just movies or shows I'm watching, but at least the movies and shows I've watched, I always notice the positive characters and the uplifting characters and the really like cute manic characters are always so dumb, dude. Like they're so they're such retards. While this character, she's so positive and so kind-hearted, but she's still so intelligent. And that's what, in my opinion, why I really like her character, is that she, and she's kind of like me, honestly. She's one of those characters where it's like, okay, yes, this is not great, this is not a good situation, but how can we turn it to a positive? Can we make it better? And that's kind of her whole arc, is that like, yeah, she, does lose hope a little bit, like anyone will eventually do. But what I like about her character is that even if she started losing hope, she still was able to come up with other ideas. And that is so, personally, so powerful, because I'm sorry, like, in the world that we live in, we need to, in my opinion, we always need to be innovative. If you are not innovating, and this is my personal, take this with a grain of salt. Sorry, I'm getting kind of passionate right now. But in my opinion, if you cannot be innovative, if you cannot think on your feet in the world that we live in, you are not truly human. And that's just what I think. Because honestly, to survive, to be the best versions of yourself, to keep growing, you have to constantly be innovative. You have to constantly almost break down what is the norm. Because honestly, nothing is normal. There's no actual norm. We just create our own norms. And again, that's kind of what this movie is talking about, is like, we are basically using medium to self-prophesize our own deaths. Think about that. Honestly, think about that. That is so vile, but that is what is happening. It's so messed up, but that is what's happening. So, yeah, and so basically this character is trying to prove, like, no, we can fix the things that we're talking about that are evil, because we have the power in us. And that's honestly, in my opinion, also another reason why people, quote unquote, are lazy about things like this, or quote unquote can't do it, is because we don't have the willpower in ourselves to do it, because we are too fearful of what's happening. And so that's why, again, thematically, it just kind of shows in like different versions of the same theme. And that's why it's such a good movie, because it just shows how and even how the characters interact with each other too. Like how the main character, he was so jaded, but this other actress, she was not. And so how they almost kind of helped each other to basically ground each other. And that's, in my opinion, what makes a perfect movie, is if your characters are opposites from each other but can still coincide with each other and make each other grow in their own individual journeys. Like, that is so powerful. That is such a beautiful thing that you can showcase in a movie. Sound wise, again, kind of what I was talking about before, like the music, it like at first was like really dark and really grungy, and then eventually it grew into this like lighter, not necessarily puffy, but more of like a lighter tonality. And so, like, yeah, if you can do that, have a theme, if you can do that in your music, if you can show that within your characters, if you can show that within the angling, which the camera work was so cool in this movie, honestly, like the transition that they had was so phenomenal. If you, again, like I was talking about in Asteroid City, what I was talking with some of my other more like serious movies, like Lilo and Stitch, for example, or like Turning Red. Like, if you're able to just do all of that in a movie and complement each other within one movie, like, that's just, that is craftsmanship on its own. So yeah, it's just like this movie, I don't know how to conclude this, because this movie is just incredible, and it just, again, it talks about such real issues, but it also, even though again it is more PG, but it does, and like, there is a lot to do, of course there is, like, that's the hardest part, and that's what they were saying kind of in the end of this movie, that's the hardest part, is to do it, but that's why we must do it, or no one's going to do it. And so I think that's how kind of leave off this movie commentary, and the series that I've created this summer is like, if you want to do something, like for me, I wanted just to do study abroad for such a long time. This is my second time going to France, but this is my first time kind of doing solo travel. This is my first time kind of doing this all by myself, and I've wanted to do this for so long. Like, I wanted to go to college for so long, and I'm finally here. Yes, it may not be perfect, and yes, it's rocky, but it's so fulfilling. And so, kind of my send off to you guys, don't get teary, kind of my send off to you guys is, if you want to do something, just do it. Don't let any social injustices, people, consequences, contexts, whatever it might be in your life that is pressuring you from doing something, don't let that to deteriorate from doing it, because I promise you, everything is possible. You just have to do it. It's hard, it's painful, but that is how it is to be human. So, well, that was factful. So yeah, I hope you like it. I hope you like my movie commentary. I hope you like my pep talk, because I feel like we all kind of need it. And the week that I've had also, I feel like I needed that, honestly. But yeah, so I hope you like it, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.